I'm Larry Dignan from Constellation Insights, and we're here with Constellation Research CEO Ray Wang. We're going to talk about valuing transformation projects. So Ray, you did a recent report. I guess walk us through the nuances of transformation projects, which seem to outlive the people who actually kick them off.
That's exactly right, Larry. What's happening is people do the projects, they do a classic cost-benefit analysis, and then they walk away and they wonder what's going on. And the challenge is, it's good you capture some of it, but what you really want to understand are two areas that people typically miss: probability of success and level of difficulty. These are things that people always miss. And especially when you're looking at AI and business transformation, almost 77% of projects typically fail. And so the question is, what can we do? And so how do we actually, get the alignment of a project with the alignment of a business's needs and alignment with the executive that's in charge of that project? And we have to figure out new ways to, and that's why we included and created this approach called return on transformation investments. And that return on transformation investments, as we call ROI, is really taking four areas: costs, benefit, probability, and project type.
So if I'm looking at transformation projects, and I've seen more than my share, why isn't probability thought of as a thing to think about?
Yeah, so a lot of times we don't look at the probability of how well a success of a project will work. And part of it is because we don't think that a project's ever going to fail, but we actually have to account for more risks. And some of those risks are typically implementation risk. Do you think the project's going to be completed on time? And, is there enough change management in place? Okay, so fine. Let's say the project succeeds. Is this project going to be around in a year or two when another team takes over? Or is it going to get placed over and handed over to a captive or a BPO operation or someone else to run? And then, of course, you've got the project up, congratulations, you're now running the project. How well will you be able to maintain that project over time? And that, again, is also tough to do. And then the other piece is, okay, you're tired of running it, you want to give it to someone else. Where can you do that? And can you hand it over to someone easily, or is this something that you're stuck running forever? And of course, are these projects still going to give the level of returns over time? Maybe get a 2-year hit, a 3-year hit, and you get success there. Is it going to outlive the project's intended life in terms of getting that return? And I think we don't ask these questions enough. And especially when you're looking at digital transformation, these are projects that are going to be around for a while, and especially when we talk about AI.
So should we be thinking about ERP in the transformation sort of lens? Since, they're multi-year projects, I always hear the ERP systems being wrapped into some broader transformation narrative, but given the, probability of success, which in my experience is kind of 50-50 at best, how should we think about ERP?
You could look at ERP in the same way. And I think the important part is when you look at ERP the same way, you want to understand that ERP projects are 5 to 10 years. These are real projects that take quite an amount of time to be successful. And more importantly, these projects do have impact, not necessarily transformational in the business model perspective, but very, very important in terms of the operations of the business. But when we start looking at ERP projects that have automation and AI, then this is the right methodology to use.
And then what about the long-term value of transformation? How should we think about that?
Yeah, it's important to think about the long-term value by looking at the project types. We've got a series of project types, anything from regulatory compliance, let's make sure nobody goes to jail, let's make sure we're all compliant, let's make sure we're avoiding a lawsuit and minimizing risk, to cost reduction, which is how do we actually take out real costs? How do we actually drive down the cost structure? And then there's maintenance and incremental improvement projects. We see those along the way. And we also see revenue and growth. These are the ones where we actually say for every dollar invest, we're going to make 2 or 3. And then we have operational efficiency projects that come in too. And these are the ones where we say for every dollar invest, we hope to actually take gains, right? Reduce maybe 10 FTEs, drive down the budget 10% every year, achieve a better level of onboarding integration for folks, improving that customer experience. And then of course, with business model and brand transformation. And so we have to view projects in that type of view.
Should we look at competitive advantage too? Or is that kind of the holy grail?
That is the holy grail. How do we get the competitive advantage? A lot of folks don't know. I think it's important to say some projects will give you an operating cost advantage. Some projects will give you a ease of integration and ease of relationship advantage, which means you can actually improve your BD and your scope. So we do have to look at that as well.
How do we layer the short-term metrics? Like say, if you have a transformation project, you can justify year 1 and 2 based on compliance. It's kind of a no-brainer. And then do we look at different metrics over different timeframes?
Well, let's put ourselves in the shoes of a CEO. You have 3 years before your contract is up, or maybe you're let go. And that's probably the average tenure today. So what you want to do right away is layer a project that takes out costs so fast that you now can fund an innovation initiative that won't have a payback for another year, another 2 years, and another 3 years. And that's what you're really trying to do, is create that layering effect so that you can be prepared, so that you can say, I took out 10% cost, I reinvested that 10%, we grew the company 7%, we then took that 7% and used it to actually achieve scale, we gained market share by another 20%, and that is the type of story you want to be able to tell. And that's why you use this RTI approach, because it gives you a portfolio methodology that a CXO can use.
Anything to add about RTI that we didn't touch on?
I think it's going to be important. You're going to see some tools that we're going to be providing in terms of spreadsheets for you to calculate this. We're going to be working with vendors on specific projects to see who's delivering on RTI. And more importantly, you might see this as a component for the Supernova Awards to say, what are the metrics you're doing to achieve RTI for those of you that are applying for Supernova Awards this year, which is basically the biggest awards for digital transformation in the enterprise.
All righty, good stuff. Thanks.
Hey, thanks a lot, Larry.